evening.
Good evening.
Do you believe in witches? I do. I've seen. I even know where they live. You see, I come from Pendle, and Pendle's famous for three things. The first is the broad Lancashire accent, the second is the magnificent Pendle Hill, and the third are the people who once lived in its eerie shadow, the Pendle Witches. Now, the witches of Pendle are most infamous in all of England, and their murderous exploits are well etched in its history. Most of the witches were caught and then hung until dead. Only one of them escaped this punishment, the most powerful witch of them all. Her name was Demdike. Noel, the local magistrate, was charged with bringing Demdike to justice, and Noel had some effective ways of extracting a confession. The first was called the ladder. The ladder was a rack that could stretch and bend the back. Very painful. But Demdike said nothing. The second was Tortillon. Tortillon was a vice that could squeeze and crush the insides. You could hear the bones break. But Demdike said nothing. She was then shackled in a cell and left until the shackles tore and ripped at her flesh. Now I know this seems cruel, but the people of Pendle must have their witch. Demdike's spirit was broken, and history tells us it was here that Demdike died. Of course, legend tells us otherwise. Legend tells us Demdike's spirit was rebuilt. Piece by piece. Now some say this is just a story, but we locals like to think it's true. That was cheery, wasn't it? Murder and witchcraft all on a Monday night. Good evening, my name's Matthew. I'm a magician. It does feel good. They do say admitting it is the first step to recovery. Now, I've been hooked on magic ever since I was about 5 when my dad showed me a coin trick. He took a coin, he put it in his hand and rubbed. It vanished and appeared in the other hand. I was like, whoa, I want to be a magician. He said, you don't. I said, I do. He said, you don't. I said, I do. He said, you'd have to practice every day. I said, I will. And I did. I managed to find the biggest coins I could lay my hands on. I got 3 altogether, and I practiced every day until I could make one of the coins jump from this hand into this hand. I was like, Dad, I think I'm a magician. He said, you know. I said, I am. I can make one of the coins jump from this hand into this hand. He said, you can't. I said, I can watch from here into here. I want to be a magician. He said, well, for a first go, that's not bad. For a first go. But magic's easy to do fast. All the best magicians do it slow so everyone can see. Try it that way. I said I will. So I did. As slow as I could go. Be a magician? Yeah, you'd have to get qualified. I said I will. He said you'd have to go to magic school. I said I will. And I did. I packed my bags and I set up to magic school to become a qualified magician. Now, to qualify as a magician, you have to do the magician's test. It's an old and ancient ritual called the cups and balls. It uses 3 cups, uses a wand, and of course for cups and balls we need to use a ball. And the easiest way to get one is to pluck it straight from the end of the wand. And that'll work just fine. Of course, it wasn't good enough for the professor. The professor preferred that we do things with a little more style. And I think he was probably right. Of course, not everyone at magic school was a magician. Take Charlie, for instance. Charlie was actually a miller, but he did some amazing things. There's one time where he took a ball and pushed it straight through the top of the cup. I have no idea how he did that. None at all. None at all. Of course, Michael was probably the star of the class. Always came top, certainly the professor's favourite. We nicknamed him Michael Avon. And Michael would spin his wand twice, just because he could. And that'll give him the ball down here, just where he wanted it. Now you see, when Martel tapped the cup, everybody clapped. Too late now, you're too late. You have until I finish the prompt in the tap to clap, or it's too late. Lesson number 2 was vanishing a ball. Now the easiest way was to take the ball and just squeeze it back into the centre of the wand. Of course everyone had their own way of doing that. David was much more daring. Remember David? David was William's son, and he just used to give it a tap, which we thought was a much more striking vanish. Of course, it wasn't good enough for the professor. The professor preferred that we do things with a little more style. And I think he was probably right. The top of the cups and all 3 balls appear back underneath the 3 cups. That's actually a golf clap. So I forgot whoops and cheers for magic. Woo woo! Save it for the end. That's all there is to learn about cups and balls, really. Apart from the fact you don't always need to use a wand, sometimes you can just take a ball, give it a blow, and have it appear underneath the cups. And if you can do that, you're ready to take the test. Now, the magician's test was simple. What you had to do, you take a ball, put it in the pocket, have it appear underneath an empty cup, and you do it with a snap, it'll give you the ball under the cup. People have made careers from that. There's one guy, Daniel, I think it was Daniel, Paul, Daniel, something like that, anyway. He played a game with it, where you had to guess where the ball was. If you said it was under the cup, he'd show you it was in the pocket. If you said it was in the pocket, which most people did, he'd show you it was under the cup. Everybody liked that. Not a lot. And that's because he wouldn't pass you the final test. You see, the final test was to put 1 ball in the pocket and have 3 balls appear underneath the cup. And we're almost there. If you could do that, you were qualified as a magician. Of course, it wouldn't get you top marks. For top marks, you had to do things with a little more style. Now, when we'd all passed, the professor congratulated us and recommended that we should all meet up at the Magic Castle and celebrate with drinks. And we all thought he was right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Good night. Woo!